Hello YouTube, Authortube, BookTube, all that. Sorry it's been so long. I was been a bit busy with a few other things and I was a bit ill last week, but that's all over now. So that's cool. I hope you all enjoyed the writing example that I did. I had some fun with that actually, so I'm going to definitely do that again with the screen recording and the voiceover. I did enjoy that. And as you probably guessed, I have changed it again quite a few times since you saw it. I actually started to, where I was talking about rearranging sentences, I actually started to rearrange the paragraphs as well. So I mucked around with the whole kind of timeline, you know, timeline as it were, like what order she would actually do the things and think the things. So that was kind of fun. But I think I'm happy with it now. I mean, that's usually the case with editing. If something doesn't sit right, you tend to read it like 20 times, and eventually it will click. You think, oh yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of. So, look at this! What a cool backdrop. Got like sunshine and branches swaying. I hope I don't see some sort of big claw come over, because that'll, yeah, worry me. Right, okay, let's sting this, because believe it or not, this is take number 4. Sorry, my hair looks weird. I cut it over the weekend and then like mucked around with it a little bit, so it looks a bit strange. But yeah, that's better. Yeah, this is take number 4. I did so many different things, and the last one, I just did there was no order to it or anything. I was just rambling, complete. I know I ramble anyway, but this was just complete chaos, you know. So I thought, no, just forget that one and just completely go into new. So I'll try and finish off the history today, or we'll get to a point where we can stop again. Also, I bought a writing bureau, which a lot of writers out there will think to themselves, one day I want to own a writing bureau. And a quick story. Saw it on the television. I was watching The Truth About the Harry Quebert Affair. Don't know if any of you are watching that. You should be, because it's about a writer, so you should be watching that anyway. And he put his manuscript in a writing bureau, and I was like, oh, I'll get one of them. But then I googled it, and ridiculous prices were coming up that I couldn't afford, you know, at all. So I was like, okay, there's no point in that. So I thought, oh, I know, I'll text my mate, because he's a carpenter, and like I've known him literally my whole life. And I was like, right, here's a picture. Give me a price on that. So he's like, yeah, I'll get around to it. And then I walked up the shops, and I walked past charity shop, or like a thrift store, whatever you guys call it. And there's one sitting there, and I'm, you know, dirt cheap. And I was like, okay. I mean, it wasn't greatest quality or anything like that, you know. It needed a bit of like sanding down and whatever. And so I was like, okay, it's cheap, I'm having it. So I bought it. And but then I had this great idea that because now I own one, I can like use it as like a template. So what I might do is buy the wood in, like slowly. I'm not going to do this like literally like say next weekend I'm going to go and build this, but what I'll probably do is over the course of like 6 months I'll like buy wood in every now and then, or just get hold of some wood, even if I just buy another piece of furniture and cut it all down like cheap, and then I'll use that as a template and I'll build a new one. And I've said to my kids about getting involved in it, because sometimes we do crazy projects together, like family things. We had like a massive 5 foot tall bit of paper, and we put all these family rules on it, and like we were painting like, you know, we were painting like Superman logo and Star Wars logos, and me and my fiance were watching Pretty Little Liars, so we copied the logo for that and stuff like that. This chair's wobbling, it's doing my head in. Oh, it's really annoying. I'm going to move because it's wobbling. Yeah, so we did that together as a family, and we like painted the paper, and then we like hung it on the wall and all this kind of thing. And I said to the kids, if we do this with the bureau, I said you guys can like carve your initials in the side, or you know, you could just, if you wanted to, you could just put like a sanded like an X or something like that, and then every time you see it, you'll think to yourself, I helped make that. And you know, it's kind of little things like that. I love doing little things like that. I think they're great. So if I can, I'll get a little picture or video in at the end of it just to show you. what it looks like, because I had to rearrange all my office that I did have, because I've got a very small amount of space here, like really small, because I don't live in a big house or anything. I live in a very small place, and so I had to like take everything off of that, out of that office, and then put it into the bureau, and it was kind of fun, but yeah, I kind of like it. Right, so let's get cracking on with the thing. I have my book here. This is actually the book for my latest book that I'm writing, which is a vampire novel. But I've put the notes in the back just so I've got something to remember. So, we're at 2006, and a character called Amelia Maylock, there she is. Vector art there for anyone interested in vector art. That's all vector art there, vector portraits. Amelia Maylock was first published 2006, and although we are now 12 years later, I'm still working on the series. And I've got some notes here, so I'm going to get through as quickly as I can. So, the first book comes out 2006. The second book comes out later on that year, right at the end of the year. Hang on, where is that? Oh no, sorry. Yes, first book comes out 2006, early in the year. Second book comes out later on that year, 2006. Book number 3 comes out in 2008. Okay. And book number 4, wherever that is, there it is, 2009, that one comes out. And while I was writing that, another book come out called Banana Skins on the Table, which I mentioned in an earlier video, which was the contemporary male lit that book. The first person about Nathan, that one I told you about. That came out in 2009 too. So there's a busy few years there, and you've got to remember as well, like I've become a father. There's things going on, but I've still managed to sit down and get like 5 books sorted out. And this is all a hobby at the moment. This is all a hobby. I can't remember. I think I was in work for some of it, and then I think I was out of work for some of it as well. So, there was a kind of it was kind of forced free time on me in some of that period of time there. So yeah. But unfortunately, there are times when people are out of work, so you just kind of go with it. I'm lucky enough, I had a crazy hobby to keep me occupied and sane. So right, so the next, let me see, 2009. So then 2012, Breed of Love, which is a very short horror novelette. I think it's only about 10,000 words or something ridiculous like that. But it actually reached number 69 best-selling on the horror list on Amazon. And I will stick up my little sticker things. I'm very proud of that. And it was only a very short thing. I think it was going to be part of a larger story, and I think if you guys remember, I mentioned in a previous video about where you have loads of thoughts and then you decide if they're going to go somewhere or somewhere else. And I think I had a larger story, but it wasn't working, and I think I ended up condensing it just to this little short story. And it's kind of like, it's a supernatural kind of ghost kind of thing. But it's not published at the moment on Amazon. It's not on Amazon at the moment. But I will look back into that, because I think that was a kind of like the spark of a darker side of my writing, which I'm kind of in now, and I'm staying in it at the moment. But that was just a kind of a side thing. How it. I don't know how. I really can't remember how I got the idea or anything like that. It was just to do with. I mean, he's almost like a Grim Reaper in a weird sort of way, but I know he helps people who are dying and that. So I'll see if I can, you know, I'll mention it in a future video. I'll pull it out and mention it in a future video. Right, so where we got to? So 10 minutes in already, so you know we need to keep these things nice and short if we can. Right, so 2012, Breed Love there. Right, okay, so then we move on to dystopians. I'll just stop there quickly because during this time, I've got some notes down here where it says down here, took on too much, all aspects of books and writing. The writing suffered, refocused. Rebranding a few times, I'm just reading it off the list here. Illustrated, time, learning, 3D art, etc. Okay, so I'm going to briefly condense all that into what that actually means. So the books come out, like I say, Amelia here, first come out in 2006, but then immediately I ran with it and I took on too much, and I was like, right, so I've done the paperback, now I need to do hardcover. I want to do an illustrated version, I want to do, you know, an illustrated paperback, illustrated hardcover. I want every single part of every format this book can come out in, I want it done. And I'm quite artistic, but taking on that while doing everything else, I didn't realise I'd taken on too much. And of course, like I said there, writing suffers. So you're spending 3 months perfecting a couple of illustrations. It's 3 months you're not writing. 3 months you're not marketing. 3 months you're not networking. You know, you're just sitting there at a table sketching, and that's 3 months you're not there. Okay? So, but I did this a lot. And because obviously I didn't really have anyone like a boss or anything like that, or anything, you know, along them lines to kind of keep me in check, I would run away with all these different ideas. And now I've realised it. So now I've realised it, I always keep myself in check and make sure I'm not running away with things for months. Because it's happened again. That's not the only time it happened. It's happened after that. So, but I mean, I even listed these things, like I gave these books ISBNs, and they're never going to come out. You know, they're never going to see the light of day because I was literally just running ahead of myself way too fast. So, around about 2011, 2012, I think that was the kind of thing. I was out of work again, but I was able to get help with funding for education because of the fact that I was out of work. So I started to study for a psychology degree, distance learning, so it was all sent through the post and re-downloaded it, or you worked online, etc. And I was going for my bachelor's in psychology. And that was great, that was fine. And then, like I say, that was like helping me, that was hopefully going to help me get back into work again, and I was still writing as a hobby. And then I found out that there were kind of like government initiatives and loans and programs that I could register for and etc., which would help small businesses. I mean, there's a lot of these around anyway. You just got to really search for them. If you search around, you'll find lots of things that can help. So I searched around and I found stuff, and I kind of got to a crossroads, and it was a very important crossroads because it was literally carry on with a degree or start a business. You know, it could go either way. So I had a really good think about it, discussed it with the family, etc. And I chose to really put everything into the books, like everything into the books as possible. And like I say, I started up and there wasn't a lot of money. I mean, there was a very, very limited amount of cash. I had to make sure that obviously things were, you know, starting off at a good point. So I stopped and, like I said down here, refocused. So I literally just refocused everything. I laid everything out type of thing, like, you know, not necessarily in the literal sense, but I kind of laid everything out and just said to myself, where am I? And then I built from there back up again. And I'm still doing that years later because it's a long process. You know, back then like I say, Kindle didn't come into effect until later on when I'd been writing. So then suddenly I had this new option, so I had to kind of redo everything for Kindle. But originally when Kindle started, it was very difficult for UK authors or authors outside of the US to publish through Kindle, because there was tax issues, and you had to like get in contact with the IRS in America, like the tax office in America, and sign up as like a foreign sales entity, I think was the word that was on the paperwork. It was a very kind of confusing thing, and but then me and a friend of mine who lived in the US, we kind of did a joint thing through her, through a Kindle thing there, so I had an outlet. But then when Kindle changed and made it very simple for authors everywhere to use their platform, and the IRS issues were dealt with and everything was dealt with and it was very simple, I had to take everything that was in the US side of things off, just completely start again fresh from that side of things. So it's a kind of like evolving thing, you do something, you put a lot of work into it, but then suddenly it changes, or you make a decision to go a different way, and that's kind of how it was. So I've had a lot of times where I've had to stop and refocus and make decisions about how to move forward, and that's kind of where we are now. I'm kind of still on the rebranding and getting everything into kind of like a one thing. I mean, you've only got to go on Goodreads and just click on some of the books and you'll see how many editions there are listed for the books, and that just proves how many times things have changed, like the covers or the things like that. But these are going to stay now. I'm completely happy with these. Book 2 also has a vector art. They'll all feature a character, etc. The spine is now branded, so it's actually so that, and the next one will be 2. It'll just go 2, 3, 4, 5, like that right the way through. So it's cool. But sometimes these things take time, and you think you've hit it, you think you've hit the idea, and it's fine, and then you change your mind again and stuff like that. So right, so where did we say rebranding? Yeah, obviously a few times, but then there's also things here like, okay, let's say for instance I had an idea, which I have had, that I'm going to make like a cartoon version of Amelia, or some sort of YouTube series or a book trailer or something like that, but like an illustrated or animated version. I would then say to myself, right, what do I need to learn, like software or that kind of that kind of area? What do I need to learn to make that happen? And I'd break that down and I'd say to myself, right, I need to learn that, etc. And then I'd go away and I'd spend time trying to learn that, only for it to not come to fruition, not go anywhere. So I've wasted time again, you see. And this is where, like I say, I've always had to check myself, and I'm in a very nice position now where I'm not doing that as much as I was. But again, I'm running away with myself when I should have stayed grounded and said, no, bit by bit by bit, these things will come, but they'll come maybe in the future at a different time. So yeah, so there's that. So we've got, like I say, we've got a series we're working on there. There's another like teen magic fantasy series, Holly Silverstone books. That was 2012, and that's one of my most popular books actually. If you go on Goodreads, there's like 50 something odd reviews, and they're all very good. People really love that book, so, and I do as well. I love Holly's books; they're amazing. So then I went on to a dystopian, and spot the difference here, guys. The first one came out in 2013, and it was called The Long Journey to Sincerity. Okay, and there's another version which came out in 2016, and it's called My Long Journey to Sincerity. Now, what I've done there, as you can probably see, apart from the title change, is the first book was third person. When I released the one in 2016, My Long Journey to Sincerity, I changed it to first person, and I really think that I've said this before in this story especially, and I think in a lot of stories, if you're worrying about should it be third person, first person, you know, what kind of tense, etc., any of that, ask yourself a simple-ish question. It won't always work, it's not always work, I'm not saying this is a guaranteed thing or anything like that, but I asked myself a question with this book. I said a lot of the stuff that happens doesn't work as well unless you're there with the character actually at the time that it happens. So when the character's going through something and it's first person, you know, I did this happened, type of thing, the reader's there with the character, and it's more effective. And that's one of the main reasons that I chose to change it to first person. So, and the old version had to be unpublished, etc., and now that's the new version there. So we've got that one. And there's another dystopian called Female 918, which is part of a larger story. So that's going to come out in like 2 or 3 parts. The first part is out now, Female 918, like I say. And that's a very different story, and I was very proud of my world building and kind of the dark edges I took to that one, because it depends how you go with dystopian. With dystopian you can kind of go political, you can kind of go post-apocalyptic, you can go you know, all these different kind of angles. How you gonna make it a dystopian world? And this one I was really proud of this one. I really like this one, the way I took it, because I kind of went back into the past to actual historical events, and like instead of how history went forward, I kind of moved a different way, if that makes any sense. So what we know as history, I kind of went back and went a different path, and then the world that's there now is if we'd have gone that different way. So I really like that idea. I thought it was kind of nice, nice little tweak on kind of dystopian thing there. And that brings us up pretty much, if I'm looking here, yeah, that brings us up pretty much to kind of present-ish day. And the most recent was the horror, suspense, thriller, women's fiction. I mean, so many different genres it can fall into, which was the latest book I published, On My Way Home While Anger Sleeps. And it was part of the Kindle Scout program. I'm not sure if any of you remember that. It's actually finished now. I did joke about myself, because when I put my book in, and my book's sitting on the Scout program looking for readers and votes, and that's how it used to work. And then if you got a certain amount, then Amazon would take you on and publish you. And I put my book in, and then a few weeks later, or about a month later, or however long it was, Amazon sends out an email saying that they're going to cancel the Scout program as of a certain date. So I'm kind of joking and saying that, you know, my book broke it, you know, it was such a bad book and all this stuff. It's like a running joke type of thing. So with myself, well, I hope it's a joke. Yeah, but they cancelled the program, so, you know, I've put it out normally, just put it out normally on Kindle. And there'll be, there's a lot of excerpts for that up on Instagram and etc. So, you know, you can jump on there and read those. You know, people are liking it, and they're liking the darker side to that too. So I'm in some sort of dark phase at the moment, and I'm going with it because I love it, I really do. Right, so I think that's it. We're up to date. We are completely up to date. We've gone through pretty much everything. And like I say, you just got to remember that in between certain parts of this, you know, that line I read earlier, it took on too much all aspects of books and writing. I was, excuse me, I was, you know, there's a point there where I was like, I'll open an Etsy shop and sell loads of bookmarks. Okay, what am I going to have on my bookmarks? And then I'd sit there for a week trying to design the perfect bookmark, or what would sell, you know. Okay, I need the Etsy shop, so I need to sort out all that side of things and everything like that. And it's just another example of where you get an idea and you run with it when you shouldn't. My doorbell's ringing there, but it's a perfect place to finish anyway. All right, guys, so that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.